Let's just calm down a little bit. You can see...
Oh no, a Pyrian problem.
Ooh. Yeah, Pyrian is, he can't see his UI.
I also hear he might be blind, which I believe that was related to just UI things. I think Pyrian's eyesight otherwise. Thanks
oh
no,
if it was a different game, I think he would have. Pyrian is, he can't see his UI. Which,
I also hear he might be blind, which I believe that was related to just UI things. I think Pyrian's eyesight otherwise in the game.
Much faster.
Oh no,
if it was a different game, I think he would have. Pyrian is, he can't see his UI.
Don't say things. I also hear out loud. We've had 2 Chrono Race 2 days.
I know we have, but if I say it, then maybe it won't happen. Let's get into the game.
Otherwise in the game.
Much faster.
Oh no,
if it was a different game, I think he would have. Pyrian is, he can't see his UI.
Don't say things. I also hear out loud. We've had 2 Chrono Race 2 days.
I know we have, but if I say it, then maybe it won't happen. Let's get into the game. Just so many SKT fans, but MVP fans are always so loud, so passionate for this MVP squad.
The theoretical person I spoke about in Game 1 did tweet at me and say that he waited 5 years to come and watch Faker.
Just so many SKT fans, but MVP fans are always so loud, so passionate.
Kind of the weird
thing
that is there to be discussed. I spoke about again is that you did tweet at me and it feels like esports is the weirdest scenario.
Just so many SKT fans, but MVP fans are always so loud, so passionate.
Kind of the weird thing that is there to be discussed. Is it just a famous org that could have many? It feels like esports is the weirdest scenario.
So many SKT fans, but MVP fans are always so loud, so passionate.
Kind of the weird thing that is there to be discussed. Is it just a famous org that could have many? It feels like esports is the weirdest scenario.
So many SKT fans,
What is that true?
fans are always so loud.
It's still too early in the kind of weird, but it is that weird scenario of, did you pay a ticket for SKT or did you pay a ticket for Faker?
Well, if you paid a ticket for Faker and they win game number 2, then you're going to go home a little bit disappointed. You can imagine that game number 3, we might actually be able to see a lot of mid lane return, but if they win, it certainly is not going to be the case because it will be that 2-0 over MVP, and then a whole lot of question marks will pop up for everyone.
Update is, it sounds like a reconnect issue.
Yeah, Tyler's going to be reconnecting, so he's looking to get back into this game. So should be back in as soon as possible. It's not Pyrian again losing his UI. That's lucky. I hate it when that goes missing.
ADD wants to get involved. At least MVP's got the damages this time.
They do. They do.
The lanes aren't quite in the same kind of Elo heaven place they were in the previous game, where every lane looked golden. But the lanes are decent. On both sides there are some wins and some losses. The teleports are everywhere. Welcome to patch 8.11. And let's see how we go, because contrary to expectation, SKT changed 4 players and they finally won their first game of the season.
Exactly. MVP are going to get some information. Brambleback will be taken by Blossom for the first camp. And I want to talk to you about the jungle here. Is the level 2 of a Sejuani going to be okay if he ever meets Blossom, or is this just going to be a horror situation in the early game for Yondu to deal with?
You know, it's not fantastic. I think the level 3 meta was a lot stronger for Sejuani than the level 2. Have to give up one of QWE. His top lane is
Speaking of level 2, ADD is going to have to use the flash to try and get away, but will he actually do it? Audacious Charge was held on to. Oh my goodness, they just don't hit him. And he gets away.
Don't know if they would have been able to keep that
going. One more auto would have killed him.
Blossom would also have died to the turret, so it was a close one there.
Potentially worth.
I'd need to see a replay to know that. And he would teleport, and the enemy would have to come from base, so hard to say. But they ran out of damage, so we'll leave it.
I got the play-by-play problem where I'm like, there was a kill almost!
I get a play-by-play problem with 3 different people. Yondu's had to go very defensively. Darius will rotate first out of this lane, so there will be a buff stolen away from Yondu.
Could potentially be some vertical jungling coming in here, but Yondu may not actually want to cross that river. He's heading towards his Rift Scuttler now. His Blossom has already taken his, so up in speed. Looks like the Gromp going to be taken as well as Blossom. Continuing his onslaught of the jungle. Yondu probably pretty happy here as be able to pick this one up quickly.
Sejuani changes not live on patch 8.11, so still definitely DPS is through the Scuttle Crab very quickly.
passive really stacking up here as Tal, he knows that the passive is going to be there for the Aatrox, but he's now in trouble.
Got more sustain on ADD, can just press W and switch over to the Bloodthirst, I believe it's called.
Yep. Tal, of course, with the teleport advantage, though, probably just wanted to use his health bar as a bit of a resource there.
My read on this matchup is that Darius have a big 1-item advantage, but the 2-item advantage will be there for the Aatrox. Once the Rage Blade is there after, usually the Titanic Hydra, things really kick into high gear, to the point that everyone is kind of sad that now is when the Aatrox rework is coming.
Yep.
Finally, he's viable. They know that the passive is down and the flash is down. That's why Blossom is still sniffing topside.
Been trying to back multiple times in different brushes, but you're right, he's not going to quite get in there, not wanting to dive ADD, despite the fact that the passive is on cooldown.
Dark Flight is pretty useful, and it's not 100% that you'll be able to apprehend him through it.
Yep. A few different options to try and interrupt that one for the ganking duo, but it is unreliable. Okay. I want to have a look at this bottom lane. It's been a few games since we've seen 280 carries down here.
Very early shot from Pilot. Usually we see tier X, tier Sheen, tier Cull, I guess, if you're Bang.
Yep,
tier
Boots.
Pickaxe.
Yeah.
But just straight up tier. So very, very early, saying that the first impactful purchase for Pilot will probably not be till the second teleport, which is pretty late in the lane. So for lane control, they are sacrificing a lot on the side of MVP.
Like a bit of an investment here for MVP, wanting to stack that tier as quickly as possible. Might be going double tier this time.
Morgana's at least able to have some lane presence, stop Ezreal just being under turret the entire time.
Yeah.
Maybe with the double tier, it's a fun thing to track. You know, you asked me in game 1 about the Mundo versus Nasus, and I thought, okay, with the meta where it's at, Nasus is not the biggest pick, and I still stick with that. In that particular game, the drop-off in damage was very early. I think in a different game, things have been different, but for that game, the Nasus did fit. Who's to say if double tier couldn't be a once in a while thing rather than the meta like it was at MSI?
Yeah. He's going to get there to pick up that blue buff. I was worried for a second that Blossom was going to release it, but nope. Going to be absolutely fine.
It's actually a pretty significant thing. We talked in Champ Select about how Ryze and Xin Zhao was a very fearsome 2v2.
Yeah.
The reason why I want to bring that up now is that the blue buffs are going to be offset. Because that was the first blue buff. As we'll hold the blue buff point.
Nice. Dark Binding, sorry, is going to come in from Max to stop Leo from following up, but Realm Warp is going to get Pyrion even further forward.
The poor Piggy's level 3 still.
Yeah, Yondu's really copping it, and we know that this was going to be a problem. You know, he had his jungle pool completely starved, and Sejuani was going to have a rough time against Blossom this game, but maybe we didn't think it was going to be this bad.
Hasn't been able to get the level 4, only got 1 buff, and coming back to the 2v2 mid lane, the first blue from SKT went to their mid laner. By the time the second blue spawns for MVP, SKT know the exact timer and can invade with Ryze Xin Zhao. Again, the power of the 2v2 and also the fact that now blue buff invade is a perfect timer rather than the standard both teams handoff around the same time. Means there's a very obvious time to attack for Blossom on the side of SKT.
Now, the good news story here for MVP is the fact that Max and Pilot are doing a fantastic job on this Morgana and Ezreal combo. Getting the back out of Leo. He's got the teleport available to him, so he's going to be able to get back here very quickly with his built Water Cutlass that he did manage to get to. But 64-47 is a CS lead not to scoff at.
And I thought maybe this would be the time that we didn't see a lifesteal item out of a Lucian. Usually we're seeing Lucian versus Bruiser, and you go for the Bilge Water against the Vladimir, so you can trade with him. You go against a lot of other bot lane carries that aren't 80 carries. And I thought maybe Essence Reaver Lucian will see its first visit, because it hasn't been viable previously with the need for the early lifesteal, the need for at least a Bam Scepter on Ashe, on Lucian. Still just going to be straight up play the Ruin King because the item is cheaper.
Yeah, I feel like the value is probably what makes it a little bit too nice to pass up.
I think this was one of the few games where I would have really been behind the choice, but you're right, it's never a bad choice to go for the Ruin King.
Yeah. Is it going to be Black Cleaver's second item, or is it going to be Essence Reaver? I guess that's the question that you go to next.
Not that many people to cleave, but I guess a Zhonya's and some armor on a Sejuani would be a start, so could be considered. Tempting the all-in here as ADD's a level up.
Yeah, it does have the passive here as well with the Bloodwell available, but not anymore. Ultimate does come in there. Now he has it, but passives everywhere as the ult comes through from Talon. Now it's like see your death from ADD as the interrupt comes down from Blossom. That's going to be first blood going over to Tar with the passive.
Really poorly played by the MVP duo, but Yondu's here only level 5, so just has to pop in, pop out, gets nothing.
Yep, Empyrean here as well, actually trying to skirt the Piggy Lady.
And what about this timing? The duo can invade on that blue buff we spoke about.
The aforementioned blue buff.
It is so hard to deal with Xin Zhao Rise. The amount of gameplay against this is almost nil, so they have to give it up. I thought ADD heavily misjudged the top side with no vision, made the play, and shouldn't have been surprised to see a Xin Zhao there with no deep vision. But the fact that the flow on cost is the freest ever invade on the blue, it could just be permanent uptime blue buff on the side of SKT.
Yep, and it's not the Swain of old where he relied heavily on the blue buff, but there's certainly still going to be punishment here for Ian in the mid lane. He's already falling behind in farm.
And with this start, maybe we do have to codify a name because, you know, you think of other teams that have recreated themselves. There was Neo Blaze when CJ Blaze changed their lineup, and Emperor and Daydream and those other guys came through.
Yep.
Where you at? Where you at? Because a lot of people have been throwing out a lot of ideas.
Yeah, there's been a few of them explored. I mean, SKT2 certainly makes some sense. SKTB rhymes. Sure. I like that one as well. Sub-Korean team is also pretty good.
Thanks, LS, for that one.
Yeah, LS needs all of the credit, as Korean does have to use his flash to get out of the way of that gank, but MVP very rudely interrupting our conversation.
There was Cleanse available on Pyrian, so maybe the flash wasn't necessarily as...
Yeah, Soul Shackles is in there as effort. He's going to break that tether by spitting Leo out in the other direction.
I'm pretty old school cool about the name. I think SKT-T1 Team 2, as they originally were.
How many T stuff is that?
So the awkward thing is the name of SKT's esports squad is SKT Team 1, or SKT T1.
Yes, yes, yes.
And so they had 2 squads, people remember, and the Faker squad was SKT T1 Team 2. Yep. So it's kind of amusing that now the not Faker squad is SKT T1 Team 2. Also, the extra kind of wrinkle about it is the SKT T1 Terminator, as they were called at the time, and Judgment Day, which of course Monty and Doa coming up with those names. But SKT-T1 was Reaper's team. And of course people are comparing SKT right now to Reaper and Cloud9 because both of them have thrown out the old lineup and started with the new. So it's funny how many levels that works on.
It does work on a lot of levels. I think I can probably give that one to you, Papa. Still, I think we need to see it a few more times.
All I'm going to say is history showed that SKT-T1 Team 2 was better than the original.
Yeah. And it's not often that you get the sequel to be better than the original.
I have to laugh as I say that because
yeah, I know.
I'm considering how many world championships are sitting on the bench right now. Quite a lot, Atlas.
Yeah. The bench is well and truly stacked. See how they're going to do this time around. SKT at the moment going to be ahead 1,000 gold. That first blood helping them out a lot. They'll set up, really take this top lane by storm, but ADD is going to be shoving this one forward. Yondu actually looking for the dive here alongside the Aatrox. Is going to be able to tank this for a long time. Down to the passive very, very early, but still able to lifesteal it all back up. Is going to be able to interrupt the turret attacking him as well with that passive, and everything's going to be fine. But now another engagement here into the mid lane as the Ignite very early onto Ian, but he's able to get out. Utilizes the flash to do so.
Got the phase rush as well, so the slow didn't count for much and was able to get away. Both those things necessary to make the great escape. Didn't have to pop his ult, which is an important defensive tool in its own right. Very important thing when the turret died was that ADD both tanked the turret and they killed him before he actually started kneeling down for his passive, because he was definitely shouldering the damage compared to Beyond or Yondu on the Sejuani, who was only there for the CC. So that's some nice execution from MVP as a counterpoint to SKT running the first 10 minutes.
Yeah, very nicely done. Yondu didn't even really need to utilize his passive there to get the work done, but this is one of those things that you can certainly do as Pilot. He's going to get slowed down. Good Dark Binding is going to stop a lot of that aggression, but Max has to use his stopwatch, and now he's stuck in position, has to flash to get out of the way. SKT now with complete control on this bottom side. That Blade of the Ruined King power spike coming in for Leo, really doing work as Blossom moving out of the way of these skill shots. Empyrean here as well. They can smell blood in the water as Max still down to about 300 health.
They know Morg's out. They know that Beyond or Yondu has no ultimate on the Sejuani. Yondu can't even threaten walking up. Speaking of walking up, Max going to throw out a binding.
Yep, looking to try and take away this red buff, who's spinning around, trying to reset as best it can.
Macro-wise, remember they stole the blue. Both blues have been stolen. They're stealing the red as well. It's a lot of neutral camps, but Blossom a little bit exposed.
Yeah, a little bit of a cave-in here as Ian has great position. They want to try and realm warp their way out, but there's the knock-up from the blast cone of all things, and Pilot is going to be able to grab the second kill for MVP.
One single kill in response for a steal away, so you would say advantage MVP there. Swain already looking intimidating, didn't need to use his stopwatch. The zone is still a while away. ADD roaming through. We're waiting for 2 items on ADD to truly take over the 1v1s, but he's going very, very competitive overall, so definitely not writing this one away. We're liking the ability to 1-3-1 in the late game on the side of MVP. They back away, no harm, no foul. They hold a slender lead over SKT.
Yeah, and the seesaw is going to tip in the way of MVP now. They are ahead by about 500 gold after that last fight. But you saw how these fights are going to go, and if MVP can orchestrate them in these sort of ways, it's going to be very difficult for SKT to find a position much like they had in game number 1, where the team fights just looked good.
Pilot has gone for AFK push build, very low damage on just Gauntlet straight up.
Yeah.
I'm sure Bang looks at it and gives it a quizzical look, because Bang was going into the Mana Moon before it was cool. But he's on the bench, so who cares what he thinks, says Pilot.
Exactly. ADD once again going to go for this one as Tal is going to get stunned and stunned again, and Blossom has no option but to let this top lane out of turret go.
Turns out Sejuani's got a lot of CC, and Aatrox's got a lot of damage. So that's working out for the side of MVP. They're taking down the turret. This is before Titanic Hydra is done for ADD. Should be finished very, very soon. They push up. A lot of effort being put into other lanes by SKT this time, but Blossom hasn't popped off like he did on Camille. And that means that MVP is slowly but surely finding some good positions to move forward.
And maybe it was Zinzao that was the problem, Papa, because this is another game where Zin didn't look so good. Yondu not finding success on it in game number 1, but MVP going to utilize their top lane prowess. They're going to be able to take down Shelly pretty easily, right under the noses of SKT, given that ward they have right there. ADD, he's going to be able to go back and finish that Titanic Hydra and really make a dent, picking up his Rage Blade as well. He's been sitting on those items for quite some time.
Aatrox is becoming the new Mundo, where you're like, this champion. Keen gets it banned every game. More and more people are picking it up and doing well. ADD practicing it pretty heavily in solo queue in recent memory. I guess it's only going to be a few patches thing because new Aatrox on the way, but this current Aatrox is looking very impressive. The Titanic Hydra's there before the Trinity Force. Not what you'd expect with how strong Darius is in lane. And while it's not yet the tipping point, we're not far from the tipping point for the Rage Blade Aatrox to run away with the 1v1.
Only got a dagger to build towards that Rage Blade, so thankfully hasn't hit critical mass just yet. For you SKT T2 fans. SKT T1, T2, T3, T4, T5 fans?
We can just call them Judgment Day again.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
Well,
I don't know whether it's Judgment Day just yet. We were having this discussion already, and maybe it's not time to judge SKT from this performance the first day that we see them. Maybe we wait to see them a little bit more before we really make our opinions known.
I kind of really want them to win just so that we can hear the thought process. Get Coma in there, please. I'm not sure if he'll accept the request, but we need to know, Atlas. We need more information on this SKT transformation.
And if Coma was going to be there, I guess it'd have to be a Leo double MVP that we'd need. Try and get the coach involved. See whether he's going to be able to get there. If they win, it might have a lot to do with what the Lucian's able to do as Shelly sets herself up for a big charge in mid lane and C lane turret. New and improved Shelly. Going to have too much trouble dealing with that one, and SKT, they're going to have to deal with her afterwards as well. So now the map well and truly opened up for this MVP lineup.
While there is some good parts about SKT's comp, with Zinzao just watching and the Darius falling behind early, problem for them, like we saw the evolving problem for MVP in game number 1, is low initiation, no map control. That's usually a twofer that leads to a loss. Mordekaiser comps all around the world know about this.
Yep.
They don't like it, but that's the reality of them. It's definitely not decided, and the farm numbers are pretty good. But right now, SKT can't force anything because MVP hold all the cards.
Pilot is actually just going to get Blade of the Ruined King down here, but Yondu's going to straight up miss his ultimate. And Effort, he's going to flash to get Leo out of the way. The culling, he's going to fly forward, and Effort picks up the first kill onto Max. Now Ian, underneath the turret, just straight up, does not care, but the slow is going to help out, and he's not able to push any further. It is going to be a trade 1-for-1 support for support, but now Pyrion wants to come down and make his presence known.
Ult is down. He doesn't have to use Flash or Stopwatch, though, and he's actually going a greedy build. Has already gone into the Haunting guys rather than the zone. He's going to watch the replay. Looks like Leo was being baited early, but the ult misses from Yondu, tries the predict. And then with Max being turned on, you might think this was the beginning for SKT. However, Ian, he's on Swain, and Swain doesn't care about turrets. Not quite Mundo, but he does a good Mundo impression.
He does, especially when he's in big bird form. HLE battling with this Grom, will be able to take him down. Now quite close to that Rage Blade.
About 23 minutes, I'm guessing. We'll see a Rage Blade coming through from the Aatrox, unless he's taken down before then. And you notice that Abyssal Voyage is up. They're going for the Aatrox.
Yep, they're looking for him. Doesn't have the passive right now, but Leo's going to be able to do a lot of damage here. Apprehend just walks up and takes that one down. Passive is going to be here as ADD is going to be able to buy some time, but now Blossom, he finds Yondu. They're underneath the turret, and that's going to be Blossom picking up that kill. Effort tanks it for days, and they will be able to take their first turret of the game, but they'll trade it. MVP have taken 3 already.
ADD tried to get greedy, didn't want to use his flash, but the flash apprehend too fast from Tal, and they're able to take him down. There was a potential escape there. They wasted a bit of time. But 2v turret versus 4v turret, SKT definitely have the damage lead when it comes to getting these structures.
And also, SKT didn't actually have very much of a lead at all, so they're happy to trade 2 for 2 when it comes to these turrets, because getting more global gold onto their side is going to feel good. It is going to be the Black Cleaver picked up second item here for Leo, not wanting to go into any Essence Reaver just yet, but now that he has that CDR, he might want to build towards 40%. Essence Reaver helping him out there as Pyrion, he's just going to get out. Realm Warp, going to be absolutely fine. Max unable to land the bind. Can't get the interact.
Looking for an escape tool, they get out. We try and see where this leaves everything. The structure is largely contributing to that gold lead that MVP has built. Not unassailable. We still see the small worries for SKT. Not in damage like we did for MVP in game number 1, but in terms of initiation. You make the right control plays around objectives, and those sort of things don't matter as much. But MVP load up, they'll say this is definitely a much better position than we were in game number 1. Let's see if they can get the control wards down. They don't have that many in the inventory. Right now, a triangle in the bot lane, but not the sort of triangle they can take advantage of.
Yeah. I feel like SKT's options now aren't necessarily in the clumped up let's team fight situation, because MVP's composition just does that so well this time around. It's like they make up for what their problem was in game 1. It's Pyrion up here having a bit of a dance with Ian, but he's going to have a dance with a lot of others as well, as it's once again a similar story for ADD on the bottom side. Pyrion, is the same fate going to be suffered here? And I have a feeling probably will be, but it just might take a little bit longer here as he flashes to get out of the way, wanting to find some more here against Ian. Wants to get that last Q, but oh, it's not quite enough damage. And Yondu eventually finishes him off for his second kill of the game. Tower falls down on the bottom side though, so SKT definitely trading up.
And Pyrion put up a lot of resistance, and the time bought Atlas is the thing here. The CC of wasting time killing someone means the lead is there for someone like Tal when it comes to the push. He'll back away, doesn't have full health, wants to spend some gold. This game is on a knife's edge. SKT are not counted out. They are not.
Oh no.
With all the youthfulness of this team, unable to steady the ship. The ship is quite steady. It's only a 1,700 gold lead. They haven't let MVP run away with the game.
And this time around, 22 minutes into the game, we've got our Xin Zhao with the Trinity Force picked up. So Blossom, he's not one of these sort of hopeless Xin cases that we saw Yondu as in game number 1. He's going to be able to contribute, going to be able to start getting tanky now that he has his damage already completed.
How many times do you have to rotate through ADD to slow down Rage Blade, Titanic, Hydra, Aatrox? Because so far, it has been the Yasuo story of, I'm going to hit the side lane, I'm dead, multiple times in a row. Eventually, things like teleports and the speed by which a team can do Baron count against dogpiling on the Aatrox. Aatrox is in a really good spot when it comes to item timings.
Oh yeah. And now you can imagine that Tiles sees what he's got in his inventory and he's going to have a problem. As Leo, you straight up lost that trade about as much as you possibly can, as that's a few buttons being pressed that aren't going to do anything based on the devour. But nicely done there from Pilot.
I think he was just surprised. He's like, well, okay.
Yeah.
You lost some DPS, dashing in, and I'm going to turn around and deliver it. Stand and deliver Pilot did. Miramana, 3 items complete. No second tier. We got the answer to that question. Seems like maybe that'll be avoided. 2 Drakes already. Drake stacking didn't matter for MVP in game number 1, but 3 and a 4th one to come before the Elder.
All of the Drakes that we're going to see this game in the Cloud, Mountain, and Ocean. Would have been nicer if the Ocean was first, but beggars can't be choosers. Now SKT start shoving things out. They really want to get this mid-outer turret so they can start moving their vision line further forward. But still not even beneath half health just yet.
How do you get value of what you have is a question that I think a few teams this season have kind of got the cool champions, the Mordekais and friends, and they're like, all right, we've got the champions, what do we do with them? I think a side lane to start.
Yeah, they're looking for Ian. They're actually using a lot of their globals here as well as Pyrion. He's just off on his own. He's going to get exploded, and that was just a mistake from SKT. True Shot Barrage, heaps of value coming in. ZDD wants to test out his brand new Rage Blade, and MVP, they want to head to the Baron.
They have an immensely fast Baron. If Aatrox is hitting it, Aatrox going to be hitting it soon. Darius walking up, he's hoofing it there.
Oh, yeah.
Remember that Blossom is around.
He does have his flash available as well, so now trying to sweep out all of this vision. This is going to be the classic MVP 50-50 Baron opportunity as Tal wants to get in there. Okay, he gets never moved and has to flash to get himself out of the way. Max as well. They're going to trade 1-for-1 most likely and then see what they can do after that period. He's very close to being available and has teleport to try and get himself out. Flash has to be used from Blossom to get himself out, and that means now with no Blast Cone, he can't get into the Baron pit.
Importantly, the Baron was halted. They used some flashes. Pyrion coming back, remember. He's going to be able to try and do something, but he doesn't have ultimate, so can't get them in the pit.
Yep, and Arctic Assault's going to be able to get Yondu in there, much unlike what Blossom would be able to do unless someone's in charge range. MVP going to be able to take the Baron, and True Shot Barrage going to be used just to give even more information over to this MVP team. Looks like Game 3 is on the horizon, Papa, based on how this one worked.
Certainly looking more likely 25 minutes in than it was before we started.
Yeah.
MVP, bless their hearts, have worked on their Barons quite a lot in the last, I'd say 3 months or so. Even halfway through spring season, it was old MVP. But they are trying to be a bit more clinical through the airs. They tried too many things at the same time. When you see the replay, I'll be able to illustrate what I mean by that. Max walks up, finds Blossom. Probably doesn't want to mess with the Mulan impersonator on the other side.
Yeah, it doesn't want to tussle just yet.
The item's starting to roll. Swain does answer Xin Zhao Darius so well. When Zonius is there, and the stopwatch will tide him over in the meantime. Still hasn't used it or died at this game. Swain power pick. Be more and more normalcy before the crit 80 carries make their return. They push through, they've got the Baron, and they certainly don't need to group as 5. Aatrox pretty intimidating in the side lane.
Yeah. Well, they are going to group as 5 regardless. Tali's on the bottom side of the map. He's going to be pushing on his own because not a lot Darius can do in this counter siege situation.
The only reason to group as 5 is to dive.
Yep. It's just not going to work out here as Baron going to be utilized to great effect in order to clean out this mid inhibitor. That's all they're going to be able to get unless they can win the game.
They're going to try.
Well, ADD, if he does have that Rage Blade stacked up, I think it has actually timed out now. So he just wants to kill his minion wave first.
You look at the MVP side and you say they have the ability to engage with the Swain into the Aatrox. They have lots of different ways to stay in through a dive. That's why. Even 5v5, they're thinking about it.
Yep. The buttons going to the wayside, though, is finally Effort. He's going to get knocked down before he can even activate the Grey Health, as now the first Nexus turret is going to go down. It's a war of attrition. Another never move. He's going to land an ADD. He's going to be able to grab it. A nice knockback comes in from Blossom, but it's just not going to be enough. SKT are going to lose their second Nexus turret very soon, as ADD just straight up doesn't care. Just Dark Flights his way into this one, and it's only a Nexus standing between MVP and game number 3. SKT T2 are going to go down for the first time as MVP answer back.
A decisive move by MVP. I mentioned why isn't Aatrox in the side lane? It could only be to dive. They were ready to dive. They ended the game in their Baron push. The Baron power play couldn't even be full duration, but it's enough to win the game. Judgment Day, as we coined this sub lineup from SKT. They got them the first game win. They did stop a 4-game losing streak. What now, though? It is now 1-1 against MVP, one of the few squads that SKT would look at and think, okay, this team we could beat despite their up-and-down record against them in the spring season. You see Koma looking over his notes. The other SKT players are here in the studio. We have confirmed that. We did the legwork. We know they are present. Thought maybe they'd be scrimming at the same time to get themselves some more time. No, yeah. They are ready to go, ready to be subbed in. What do Koma and friends make of this? I'm excited to find out.
Yeah, really excited to find out, see who we're going to get on this SKT roster for game number 3, because if there are no subs, then maybe it's going to be a huge deal. Maybe that's going to change our thinking for this squad. Maybe this is Koma saying these are going to be our strongest players, potentially. I mean, they are, shipping Faker over to Asia subs,
then
things
maybe
like that as well. I mean,
it's going to be a huge deal
outside of just SKT, so wanting to maybe give him a break. Or maybe he's going to come in and save the day for game number 3. It's all questions, not a lot of answers just yet, but that's a lot of damage coming in from Pilot. The Ezreal working out, but of course often pretty good at poking people down.
Seems like Blossom was the difference between the two games, popped off in game number 1, got them a good lead. There was a lot of nice things to say about the ease of execution of the SKT comp. Camille, Galio, Rakan, it's pretty straightforward. This one was a bit more linear, didn't have the engage, a little bit more of a thinker, didn't work out for them. Meanwhile, MVP, much improved performance as well.
Yeah, a little bit lower range coming in as well. I like the Lucian being picked up to try and get a little bit more back, but the Swain seemed far too strong as well. Ian had a good day. But guys, game number 3 right after this short break.